This is the Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert Tina Mitchell right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, February 28th show. I provide you news on everything money, fresh information on market trends and conditions in our local economy. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you're listening to a rebroadcast, but you can always call into the show at 1-855-400-1150 or go online, listen to any of the podcasts. If you miss any of the beginning or middle or end of the show, just go online and you can listen to anything. And I can almost guarantee if you go to the search and you search anything relating money on any topic, you'll probably find it in one of my podcasts here for the Money Hour. In studio right now, Lloyd Hara, King County Assessor. Lloyd, thank you for coming back.
Thank you, Tina. It's always a pleasure.
And we're just talking. Usually we get the privilege to have you in studio about every quarter. And you were one of my guests that have been with me for my 3 different radio shows that I've had. So you've been with me since the very, very beginning.
Well, it's been exciting, and I think we get great responses from your listeners who also call back into our office that want more information.
A little bit behind the scenes of what happens over at your office. It's a lot of fun. And for new listeners that have not heard Lloyd before, little background, a respective veteran public official was elected as King County Assessor in November 2011. Lloyd is a tireless advocate for taxpayers. That is really nice to have an advocate for taxpayers and a champion openness on transparency for government agencies. He most recently served as Seattle Port Commissioner, bringing new levels of accountability and leadership to the port. Lloyd was King County's youngest auditor and award-winning national recognized Seattle City Treasurer and a public finance expert. As a Seattle native, and his distinguished record of public services spans more than 40 years. Wow, Lloyd. I'm 20 years in my arena. You've got double up on me.
Well, it's been exciting to be serving the public. So
I'm sure that it has. Well, Lloyd, let's go ahead and do a little recap for our audience and my listeners on the values for 2014.
Well, in 2014, the King County was the second fastest urban growing county. And as a consequence, values have increased approximately 14% during last year. And overall, we went from $340 billion up to $388 billion. So that's a fairly significant increase. And new construction, you might have noticed all the cranes that have been popping up, $5.4 billion. And that's the highest that it's been in the last 3.5 years. So
that's surprising. That's surprising stats only because we only have so much land. You'd think that we'd start running out, but they're still building new construction.
Well, if you just kind of look around the area, Bellevue, Seattle, Redmond, etc., you see a lot of cranes.
Yes.
And at one point, there was even a shortage of cranes in the area. So.
Wow. So, Lloyd, what is your forecast over at the assessor's office as far as what's going to be happening for 2015 with our property values?
Well, we value property as of January 1st, 2015. So we look back 2014, 13 at the values that are occurring. And with those values, we definitely see an uptick. During last year, we had, of the 86 areas that we look at in King County, we had 85 that went up. I suspect this next year that we'll probably have all 86. The only area that did not go up in 2014 was the recreation areas up in Snoqualmie and Stevens Pass.
Okay. Wow.
So I think the economy is coming back, and I think that should make most people quite happy and to see that many folks are now getting out from under their mortgages and they're getting back to full value. So,
which is really exciting. It'd be exciting to just see that people can actually, not only that they can get out and sell because of that, but hopefully they get encouraged when we get some more inventory, because as you know, Lloyd, that's just really our challenge right now is the lack of inventory. Lloyd, let's talk a little bit about, again, behind the scenes of what happens over at the assessor's office. What are you guys doing over there day in and day out?
Day in, day out. we value approximately 700,000 parcels each year. And 1/6, we physically have boots on the ground and will be inspecting those particular properties. We have 161 tax districts within King County, of which we have 594 what we call levy codes. So depending upon where you live, that will determine the rate of tax that you will pay. And you may ask, okay, so what's happening? We want to make sure that everybody is being fairly and uniformly appraised. And why is that important to you as a taxpayer? Because I want no one to pay any more or less tax than required by law. We probably have one of the most open and transparent websites, and you can get data from any place in the country. I mean, it's absolutely amazing that folks call our office all the time and they say, wow, we can gather almost any information we can about property within King County. And that's why we want it. We want it to be open and transparent so that you, the taxpayer, or the citizen, or if you're in the real estate business, can come in and take a look for yourself.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of people don't realize what they do have access to on your website. Also, in the appeal process, Lloyd, and we've talked about this before, but if you do have any concerns with the value, going through and just taking a look at on the appeal process but before do that, wasting your time, make sure that you're checking the data and seeing if it really makes sense for you to go through that process.
Absolutely. 2 years ago, Tina, which we talked about, we instituted what we call e-appeals, an online website where you can go in, take a look. You can look at comparable sales in your neighborhood, so you can compare with your neighbors or anybody else to see whether or not your values are correct. Yeah. You can only appeal your value. You cannot appeal your tax.
Makes total sense. So let's talk about evaluations, because I think a lot of people don't realize actually what that evaluation consists of. And to be honest with you, Lloyd, until I had you in studio many, many years ago for the first time, I didn't know. And I'm in the mortgage industry. So can you talk about that?
Well, first of all, we look at the value of the land if vacant. Okay. And in some cases, if it's highly built up, we have some opportunity, especially on teardowns. People know what they paid for some of that property, so we can get a proxy value as to what those lands would be worth. And then secondly, it gets down to the structure of the improvement, what we call the improvement, and we place a value on that. And if it's a residential property, it's primarily done by what the market, that is sales. And if it's commercial, it could be done on cost, could be done on income, or a combination of sales.
And the piece of that, Lloyd, too, is understanding that what is the percent now? It's only 48% of your taxes are actually based on the assessed value of your home. The rest is on the levies that we're voting for, or what's the stat on that?
Well, it varies from taxing district by taxing district. So in some areas, that's true. We have some communities where 50% of their tax is voter approved. And then we have others that are quite low, substantially lower than that.
Okay.
So like I say, it depends upon, one, your value of your property.
Yes.
There is a limitation of 1%.
Okay.
That the various tax districts can take, and the voter approval are the primary factors of what constitutes the basis for your tax.
Got it. So the higher assessed value doesn't necessarily mean higher taxes.
That's correct.
Yes.
In fact, we have some very high residential areas on a rate per thousand. They probably have the lowest rates in the county.
Wow. Interesting. So, Lloyd, what about 2015, where the property tax allocated to? Can you talk about that?
Sure. 55% goes to support the K through 12 program.
Okay.
17.5% supports the rest of King County government. 2% approximately the Port of Seattle. Approximately 17% just general government of cities. And then we have other remaining tax districts, like a hospital district or park district, et cetera, that will take a smaller percentage of that.
Okay. And what about property tax relief programs that are available right now, Lloyd?
Well, I'm kind of excited that one of the things that I've been working very hard on is dealing with senior citizen tax relief.
Okay.
And since I've been elected, I've been going down to Olympia to work for seniors, low-income seniors, so they can retain themselves in their home. And we still need some help. Please contact your legislature to see if they can get an adjustment.
Okay.
Right now, it's a relatively low amount in terms of income. Like for King County, $35,000 gross income is not very much money.
Yeah, so they need to make $35,000 or less to get the discount.
That's correct.
Okay.
Now, the other are dealing with disabled folks,
Okay.
especially disabled veterans that have come back more recently from
Okay.
Iraq and from Afghanistan, and they have an opportunity to get tax relief as well.
Okay. Any other specials that are out there now, reliefs?
Well, we do have some opportunity for some exemptions for remodelers.
Okay.
So, for example, some of your listeners are thinking about remodeling their home. They can get, prior to starting the remodel construction, if they come forward to the King County Assessor's office, they can come in and get relief for 3 years on the added value of that remodel.
Okay, got it. So you're making the incentive to make sure they go talk to your office, Lloyd.
Well, it's very important.
Of course it is. That's exactly what I was saying. Lloyd, what about, I want to go back to the senior, because we've, talked about this a little bit, and there's a lot of seniors that fall within that income limit right now being $35,000, as you said, gross income, and they don't realize it, and they're not getting their benefit. So how far, if I've got a senior that's listening right now to this show, how far can they go back and still be able to receive that benefit, that discount?
You have to be age 62.
Okay.
And say you missed it, say you're 65 now.
Okay.
You can go back and get a credit back for 3 years.
Got it.
And this is a grant. So once you're given the exemption, you do not have to pay back the difference.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay. What new items are coming up at the assessor's office?
Well,
You got some exciting parties going on over there?
Oh, we always have exciting parties.
Wait a second, Lloyd. I'm not getting invited to those.
Well, one of the new things we have that we're going to be introducing here shortly is a brand new web page to make it even easier for those of you that are browsing to get the data that you want. Okay. And the second thing is we're coming out with a feature which we call Localscape, which will begin to integrate parcel data with census data, education data, and several other things. So you will be able to click on and begin to take a look at your neighborhood and see what services are being provided, and also the quality of education that's going on, et cetera. We're right now working with testers to see how it goes. And like I say, we're kind of excited. I think this is kind of a new breakthrough for many in the country. And so, and people that we've shown it to at this far also say, wow, we haven't seen anything like this before.
That's exciting. Lloyd, thank you again so much. I really appreciate having you in studio, and excited to see you again real soon. And I do want to get invited to those parties you're having over at the assessor's office.
Okay. Well, we'll do the rollout party for our new website.
Perfect.
Tina, and you can come to that.
Wonderful. Sounds good. Coming up next on the Money Hour, stay up to date with real estate values and real estate listing insights. Skylar Olson with Zillow right here on 1150 AM KKNW after this short break.